Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today we're diving into this really interesting book about financial literacy.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one.
It's all about you know how to make money work for you instead of the other way around.
Right. Like most people, they spend their lives working for money.
Exactly.
But this book is like flipping the script.
Yeah, it's like forget everything you thought you knew about money.
It really challenges those conventional ideas.
And it's based on the author's experiences learning about money from two very different mentors.
Yeah, one was their own dad, highly educated, but always struggling financially.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the other was their friend's dad,
Okay.
who is this self-made entrepreneur who built like serious wealth.
So two completely different perspectives on money.
Yeah, and the book explores those contrasting viewpoints.
And hopefully helps us figure out what actually works.
Exactly. It's like a roadmap to financial success. Okay, so one of the big ideas that jumps out right away is this whole concept of the rich don't work for money. Money works for them.
Right. It's like a total mindset shift.
What does that actually mean, though?
Well, it's not just about, earning a paycheck and then spending it.
Right.
It's about building systems that generate income, even while you sleep.
Like what kind of systems?
Well, think about it, like planting seeds that grow into money-making trees.
Okay, I like that analogy.
You're not just trading your time for money. You're creating something that works for you.
So it's like passive income.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of it.
Okay, so how do we actually plant these money trees?
Well, that's where the book really dives into the importance of understanding assets versus liabilities.
Right, I remember that being a big theme.
It's not just about how much money you make, but where that money goes.
It's like you could be making a ton of money, but if it's all flowing out the other end.
Exactly. You're not building wealth. You're just spinning your wheels.
So how do we make sure our money is flowing in the right direction?
We got to understand the difference between assets and liabilities.
Okay, so remind me again, what's an asset and what's a liability?
An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket.
Makes sense.
Think of your money like a river.
Okay.
Assets are like dams. They hold back the water and generate power.
I see.
Liabilities are like leaks that they drain the water away.
So we want to build dams and plug those leaks.
Exactly. That's the key to building wealth.
And the book has this really interesting story about the author working for their rich dad as a kid.
Yeah, for like 10 cents an hour.
Wow, that's like nothing.
Right. But the real value wasn't in the pennies earned.
It was in the lessons learned.
Exactly. The rich dad wasn't focused on trading time for money.
He was teaching the author how to build assets.
Right. He was showing them a different way of thinking about money.
It's interesting because the author also talks about how, as a kid, they tried to make money by, like, casting nickels out of lead.
Yeah, they were already thinking differently about wealth creation.
Even at a young age.
It's like they were trying to create something out of nothing.
So it's like those mindsets about money are formed really early.
Absolutely. Our experiences as kids shape how we view money as adults.
So how do we start applying this money working for you principle in our own lives?
Well, that's where understanding assets and liabilities becomes crucial.
Right, because we need to know what to invest in.
Exactly. And one of the most controversial things the book says is that a house is often a liability, not an asset.
I remember that being a real eye-opener.
Yeah, it goes against what most people believe.
Because everyone says, like, oh, you got to buy a house, it's the best investment.
Right. But the book challenges that conventional wisdom.
So why would a house be a liability?
Well, while it might appreciate in value over time, it also comes with a lot of expenses.
Like what kind of expenses?
Mortgage payments,
Mm-hmm.
property taxes, insurance maintenance, all those things.
It's like those leaks you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. They drain your cash flow.
And the author actually shares a personal story about their parents buying a bigger house.
Right. And it ended up causing them financial strain.
Because of the increased expenses.
Yeah, it's a common trap. People think a bigger house equals more wealth.
But sometimes it just means more expenses.
And less financial flexibility.
So what are some examples of assets that could help us build that dam and generate income?
Well, stocks are a classic example.
Okay.
When you own stock in a company, you're essentially a part owner.
Oh, I see.
And you're entitled to a portion of the profits.
So if the company does well, your investment grows.
Exactly. And you might even receive dividends, which is like getting paid for owning a piece of the pie.
So instead of just working for a company, you can own a piece of it and benefit from its success.
Exactly. That's the idea.
I'm starting to see how this shift in thinking can open up new possibilities.
And another asset class to consider is real estate.
But didn't you say earlier that houses are often liabilities?
Well, your personal residence might be, but owning rental properties can be a great way to generate passive income.
Oh, so it's not about avoiding houses altogether.
Yeah. No, it's about using them strategically.
To generate income.
Exactly. It's about making your money work for you.
And there are other assets too, right?
Absolutely. Things like bonds, precious metals, even starting your own business.
So it's not about one specific asset, but about creating a diversified mix.
Exactly. A portfolio that aligns with your goals and risk tolerance.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's about building multiple streams of income.
So that's like building a whole bunch of those dams.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial element, taxes.
Oh, yes.
Remember how the author's rich dad said Robin Hood was a crook?
Yes, what was that all about?
Well, it's because their rich dad understood that wealthy individuals and corporations don't pay taxes the same way as employees.
Wait, you mean they're not paying their fair share?
It's not about fairness, but about understanding the rules of the game.
Okay.
Think of a corporation as a separate entity, like a team playing a financial game.
I see.
And the rules allow them to deduct expenses before paying taxes.
Ah, so it's like a legal loophole.
Not a loophole, but a strategy that's available to them.
But not to regular employees.
Right. And that's how the wealthy leverage the system legally.
So it's not about doing anything illegal, it's about knowing the rules.
Exactly.
Oh.
And using that knowledge to your advantage.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this is all a different way of thinking about money.
It's about developing financial intelligence.
Is that something you're born with, or can you learn it?
Financial intelligence is definitely a learned skill.
Okay, good to know.
And the book breaks it down into 4 key areas.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first is accounting.
Accounting, so like being able to read financial statements.
Exactly. It's like learning the language of money.
You got to understand the number.
Right. If you can't read the numbers, you can't understand the game.
Okay, so accounting is the foundation.
What's the second area?
Investing.
Exactly. This is where you put your money to work.
To make it multiply.
Right. You got to understand different investment strategies, risks, potential returns.
So we're talking about stocks, real estate, all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not just about throwing money at random investments.
You need a strategy.
You got to have a plan.
Okay, so we've got accounting and investing. What are the other two?
The third area is understanding markets.
Oh, interesting.
It's all about supply and demand, recognizing trend spotting opportunities.
So it's not just about what to invest in, but when and where?
Exactly. Timing is everything.
Okay. And the final area,
Understanding the law.
the law. How does that relate to financial intelligence?
Well, remember what we were saying about corporations and taxes.
Right.
Understanding legal structures can be a big advantage.
So it's about playing the game by the rules, but also knowing how to bend them.
Not bend them, but leverage them strategically.
Okay, I see how these 4 areas all work together.
They're like the 4 pillars of financial intelligence.
And the book has some amazing examples of how the author used this knowledge.
Like buying and selling those 6 houses in a depressed market.
Wait, but didn't you say earlier that houses are often liabilities?
It's all about cash flow and strategy. They were able to buy those houses at a steep discount.
And turn them into profitable assets.
Exactly. It's a great example of how financial intelligence can help you see opportunities where others only see problems.
So they made those houses work for them.
Exactly. They flipped the script.
This is all starting to make sense, but it also seems like a lot to take in.
It's a journey, not a sprint.
Where do we even begin?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll delve deeper into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready to keep learning.
Okay, so we've talked about, assets, liabilities, corporations, those 4 areas of financial intelligence.
Right. Accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law.
It's a lot to absorb, but it's exciting stuff, right?
Definitely, it's like a whole new way of looking at things.
And that leads us to another powerful concept.
Yeah.
The book talks about the power of options.
The power of options? What does that mean?
Well, it's about how developing financial intelligence gives you more choices and opportunities in life.
Oh, I see.
It's not just about trading your time for money.
It's about having other ways to generate income.
Exactly. You're not limited to just working for someone else.
That reminds me of the story in the book about the author's friend who lost their job.
Yeah, and they really struggled.
Because their only skill was working hard.
They didn't have any other options
They hadn't developed that financial intelligence.
to create other opportunities.
It's like having only one tool in your toolbox.
And when that tool breaks, you're stuck.
The book also mentions this woman who got really upset while playing the cash flow game.
Oh yeah, she was so frustrated.
She couldn't see the opportunities even when they were right there.
It's amazing how our beliefs about money can blind us.
We get stuck in our ways.
We resist new ideas
So it's not just about having opportunities, it's about being able to see them.
and being willing to seize them.
And that's where overcoming fear comes in.
Exactly. Fear can hold us back,
It keeps us in our comfort zones.
even if those comfort zones aren't serving us well.
So financial intelligence isn't just about knowledge.
It's about courage.
The courage to take risks,
Calculated risks, of course.
to try new things.
To step outside of that fear zone.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
It's a holistic approach to wealth creation.
And something else that really stood out to me was the author questioning specialization.
Oh, yeah. They actually left a really good job at Standard Oil.
To join the Marines.
They realized that specializing too much can limit your options.
It's like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And if that basket falls, you're in trouble.
Their rich dad emphasized the value of a broader skill set
Especially leadership and management skills.
because those are transferable to any field. So
Ah.
instead of just climbing the ladder in one area,
You're building a more versatile skill set.
it's like becoming a Swiss Army knife.
You've got a tool for every situation,
And the book even suggests taking a second job,
even if it pays less.
just to learn a new skill. Are there any specific skills they recommend?
Sales and marketing are two big ones
Why those in particular?
because they're all about communication and persuasion.
And those are essential in any business.
Whether you're selling a product, an idea, or even yourself.
It's like that saying, nobody gets rich sitting in a cubicle.
You got to get out there, connect with people, build relationships.
And the book has this story about a talented artist who inherited some money
But they lost it all.
because they didn't know how to market their art.
They had the talent, but not the business skills.
It's a tough lesson, but an important one.
Technical skills alone aren't enough.
You need those soft skills too.
Communication, persuasion, negotiation.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to work,
It's about expanding your horizons.
building a diverse skill set.
And that brings us back to the power of options.
The more you learn, the more choices you have.
The more control you have over your financial future.
It's like those money trees we talked about.
Instead of planting just one type,
We need to create a whole forest.
a diverse ecosystem of income-generating assets and skills.
That's a great way to put it.
It's about building a system that works for you.
Not against you.
And ultimately, it's about freedom
Freedom to make choices,
to pursue your passions.
to live life on your own terms.
That's a powerful goal,
It's about having the resources to create the life you want.
not just settling for what you can afford.
And that's why financial literacy is so important.
It's empowering.
It gives you control over your destiny.
I'm feeling inspired.
Me too. I'm ready to take action.
But before we wrap up, are you curious about some real-life examples?
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to see how this all plays out in the real world.
Well, the book has some incredible stories about how the author put these principles into practice.
And that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. So we've talked about a lot, like, the theory behind building wealth.
Right, those key principles from the book.
But now I really want to hear those real life examples.
Like, how did the author actually use these ideas to make money?
Exactly. Like the proof is in the pudding, right?
Right, so one story that really stands out is how they bought those 6 houses in a depressed market.
Oh yeah, that one was fascinating.
Remember how most people would see a down market and be like, nope, not a good time to invest.
Yeah, it's like that fear kicks in.
But the author saw opportunity. They were like, this is when the deals are.
It's like those money trees were hidden in plain sight.
And they used their knowledge, their creative financing skills, some simple math.
To turn those properties into cash flowing assets.
Exactly. They made it work.
And there was that other story too about the rundown house they bought.
Yeah, the one with the hidden bonus.
They found out it came with these extra empty lots.
Nobody even knew about them.
It was like finding buried treasure.
Talk about an unexpected windfall.
And that brings up another point the book makes about raising money.
Right. Like, you don't always have to rely on banks.
The author talks about buying real estate without using a bank.
Sounds risky, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's about being resourceful,
Thinking outside the box.
finding creative ways to access capital.
So they weren't limited by traditional financing.
They created their own opportunities.
Okay, so we've seen how these principles work in real life.
It's not just theory. It's a proven system.
But for someone just starting out,
It can seem overwhelming.
like where do you even begin?
Well, if I had to choose one key takeaway,
Okay.
it would be the importance of financial literacy itself.
Just understanding how money works?
Exactly. It's the foundation for everything else.
It's like you can't build a house without a solid foundation.
And once you have that foundation,
You can start adding those other layers.
investing, understanding markets, leveraging the law.
It's a journey, right?
Absolutely. You learn as you go.
And maybe just as important as the knowledge,
Is the mindset shift.
believing that you can change your financial situation.
You can achieve financial freedom.
That's not taking control.
Empowering yourself.
I'm definitely feeling inspired.
This book is full of inspiring stories.
People who started with nothing and achieved incredible success.
It's a testament to the power of financial intelligence.
So what's the next step for our listener?
I'd say dive into the book.
Explore it in depth.
It's packed with practical advice and insights.
It's an investment in yourself.
And in your future.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into financial literacy.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
And that you're feeling empowered to take control of your financial future.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.